Okay, it is 9 o'clock on Monday, August the 12th, 2019. And I call the Harvey County Commissioners Court to order today. We have Mike Martin from South Georgia Church for our invocation. So please stand. Remain standing.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we are grateful today for so many things. We're grateful for a beautiful summer morning. We're grateful that we woke up today in America, the land of the free. We're grateful for the city of Amarillo and Potter and Randall counties. We're grateful, Father, that you have blessed us so richly. We're grateful today, Father, for those that serve us and serve well. We pray, Father, for this meeting. We pray that you'd lead and guide, that you would be honored and glorified in the decisions that are made. We thank you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
First thing on the agenda is approval of minutes from the July 22nd, 2019 Harvey County Commissioners Court. Any changes on there? Not so approved. Vouchers. To consider and act upon the approval of the payment of vouchers processed by the County Auditor's Office from July 17, 2019 to August 7, 2019. Check numbers 186750 for 187046 and wire transfers 1265 for 1275 in the amount of $3,609,020.09. So I have a motion.
Move to approve the vouchers as stated by the county commission.
Second for discussion. Okay, two questions, if I may, Judge. Carry page 6 of 47, check number 186820. There's a whole line item of utilities, not invoiced, short, paid, etc. So I'm not sure what that scenario is, but there's about 43,000 tied to that. Was that just their changeover in their billing?
It is.
Okay, okay. And then the second question, page 10 of 47, check number 186881, and there's several line items about payment to partnering counties, constables, and sheriff's office. Can you help me understand what services they're providing there?
It's citation service.
Citation, okay. Thank you.
One question in respect to vouchers page 7, item number 186834, unclaimed inmate trust. How does those funds go to when you have the money?
This one is actually being returned to the holder. Apparently they saw it on the website or they made a contact in the jail and knew that they had done their own books and requested it.
Thank
Is that it? Have a motion and a second. Any favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Number 3, insurance report. Paid. There's nothing under nothing. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. So we recognize number 4, elections to order the constitutional amendment election for November 5, 2019. Maureen, good morning.
It's already tied with this.
You guys don't order the constitutional, it's ordered by the governor, but we were told by the Secretary of State that we needed to do it locally as well. And so you have that in front of you. I don't think there's anything that's really unusual about it. There are a few constitutional amendments, and if a political subdivision is going to order an election, they have until next Monday to do that. So if anyone's going to throw in with us, then we won't really know everything until next Monday.
I make a motion that we order the constitutional amendment election for November 5th, 2019.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? 4-0. Elaine, do I sign this one?
Yes, that would be great, and then pass it down to Julie and she'll get it to you. On a side note, we lost Bazula Furniture and it was our busiest location. we had a meeting and the group has recommended, the group that met has recommended that we adopt Trinity Baptist, and they have agreed to this. So in this next election, Trinity Baptist will be a replacement for the city.
Well, thank you for your hard work on that. That's a lot better.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Number 5, Potter County Tax Office to consider and act upon a contract from the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles in Potter County. Good morning.
This is something that Texas Department of Motor Vehicles has issued out for their inventory, because we use their machines and their paper. They're supposed to know all that, and now they're on contract with us to help protect their supplies. Their supplies.
And this is a new contract, right? I've never seen this, okay,
Right, I think the last one we signed was like back in '94,
okay.
back when it was still, textile.
And what's the reason they're bringing this on? Is there anything we need to be mindful of now?
I think they've had some issues with some counties maybe not taking care of the equipment like they should,
Oh, okay.
or maybe over ordering inventory, not monitoring their inventory like they should.
Okay. The only question that I have is on the county shall responsibilities, where we have designating a person to keep track of the equipment, which I see that in here. Do we also work with purchasing, or is that completely independent? So you guys keep your own track of the inventory?
I have my own, employees that do that.
Is any issues with the contract?
It's pretty standard, all 254 counties have the same.
I'm going to approve the contract as presented.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. 4-0. You're still up.
Still up.
Number 6, Potter County Tax Office to update the court about the purchase of TBS CCR 500 currency recycler from Texas Data System Inc. for $44,977. The yearly maintenance is $3,700. Funds will be coming from the SIT fund.
Will you explain this? What is this? This is interesting to me. This is a machine for my clerks, tell people how much they can pay. They go to the point in one part of it, their bills in the other part, it gives them a receipt for how much they deposited. The next morning, my bookkeepers go in and tell them how much they want, how much they want for the deposit, and it spits it back out to them, and it eliminates all the counting of cash that we have to do in the office. Which is like it gives the clerks their change in the morning, for their till. It's probably already saved my bookkeepers 30, 40 minutes every morning as far as making that deposit. And when we get busy, we'll really bring in a lot. The clerks will be able to make their own deposit out of their till when it gets full. And the bookkeepers just go back and tell them how much they want to take out for deposits.
So we keep control of all the receipts that,
And Sherry, who maintains the amount of cash in the actual piece of equipment? In my mind, I think about it like an ATM, and so I think about, is it in a protected space? Does it have a GPS tracker? Of course, I'm imagining worst case scenario, someone break in to get this item that, when I remember when we thought ATMs could never be stolen, and then the first time they were tracked, now they all have GPS systems in it. Like, help me understand that piece of it,
It's like a
security.
safe.
It's the safe.
It's very heavy.
Okay,
And, there's software with it that my bookkeepers monitor all day long. So it would be very difficult for someone to come in and get it, because it took them a little bit to get it in there.
okay. So the space where you have it, and you don't have to tell me where, but the space that you have it is in the,
Yes.
it's fine. It can handle the weight of it.
Yes.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I put it on the agenda is I'm covering the yearly maintenance this year, but next year will become part of my budget, so.
What is the SIT fund?
It's the fund, it's a special inventory fund that the interest off of that account stays with, my office. It's dealers, car dealers that pay their inventory taxes.
and professional services fee, that's, on call, and do a few things that go wrong with the
Any
sheriff.
upgrades to the software?
We're not gonna lose any employees as a result of this.
It's just gonna make my employees' jobs easier. Especially my bookkeepers, because we did lose, when we had a retirement back in February, we lost one of our key people that helped us during tax season to make those deposits and count. Just speed up the process.
So you're saying you'll take the whole item this year, this fiscal year we're in, the purchase and then the maintenance, but we need to adjust the budget, which we have a little later
No.
to,
Not this year's budget.
the following year. Okay, gotcha.
Or not this upcoming budget, but
Okay.
2020 budget.
Okay, so we don't need to vote on this, it's just something that you are already aware of, okay? Okay. So recognize, thank you, Sheriff.
Thanks, sir.
Number 7, sheriff and constable fees, to consider and act upon setting and approving the sheriff and constable fees for civil process service effective January 1, 2020. Who wants to talk about that?
I don't think anything changed.
Nothing changed. I'm just responsible for reporting it to the comptroller before October 1st. I emailed everybody and
Yeah, I
everything's
remember
good.
there was a lot of discussion about fees during the legislative session. Did any of that shake out or,
The only thing I can tell you is that if you do not set the fees,
okay,
that they will go back to the fees state of 1981.
okay. And then on the
And
constable
it's the
side,
craziest thing, I mean, I don't know why they picked 1981,
same thing.
but it's all the same.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve, setting the sheriff and constable fees for civil process service effective January 1, 2020, as presented to the board.
So,
I have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. Number 8, county clerk records archive plan, to consider and act upon adopting the county clerk records archive plan for 2019-2020 annual budget.
We're continuing to use this fund as we collect it. We have, as I mentioned in here, we are now starting to work on the commissioner court minutes and deed record indexes, marriage license. And we also found an old, she's coming to look at it this week, but we found the old oath and bond book from the beginning of time, and it was before Potter was Potter. So, old oath and newer, it's really
Did you say
interesting.
it's coming to look at it?
Go
Let
find
things look?
Yeah, Memphis, yeah.
Seriously, you found it, where was it?
I know Randy, he's not in here, but it's stored in records management, and so that's something to me is interesting, because we really don't have a good list of all our elected officials.
Don't say it, don't say it, I knew you were gonna.
So there's a lot of history that sits down in that records management vault.
Yeah, as a judge, it'd be amazing to somehow display that somewhere for
Yes.
people to see, even the paper, the parchment paper that was used, it's just so
Right.
interesting to see.
And that's what some of the stuff they are restoring to, so that it's not going to deteriorate anymore, so you can actually touch it and look at it and read it. The first commissioner court minutes they're pretty funny. So.
I don't think much has changed.
True. History is repeating itself.
It'll change, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we need a motion.
Move to, approve adopting the county part-time plan from 2019 to 2020.
Need a second.
thank you.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the same thing for number 9, district clerk. Carter.
We're just gonna continue what we've been doing.
Madam President, move to approve adopting the district court's records part-time plan for 2019 to 2020.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 4-0. Number 10, local government corporation, to consider and act upon appointing Judge Tanner for a place on the local government corporation board, replacing Commissioner Workey. Been talking about this for several years now, and I got through with LEC, I got the district court's building going, so I have time to do this, maybe once a month.
It depends, sometimes it's twice, but usually don't do it every meeting.
Let me give it a shot, see how I do, okay?
And you're gonna continue, the tradition of, briefing the court on what's going on.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I move to approve the appointment of Judge Campbell in place of the local government corporation in place of Commissioner Booth.
Motion and second, all in favor, raise your hand.
And then along those lines, I would just echo some comments that I have made to Judge Tanner about, serving on various committees in the county. You know, I've not served on any facilities committees since Judge Ware's tenure. So really looking at the future of the district court building, even the property that will, then will operate this, and maybe what that future might look like. So those are things that definitely pique my interest to help make sure we can offset some of this debt from having. Okay.
Number 11, Texas Department of Motor Vehicles to consider and act upon the imposition of calendar year 2020 optional county fees.
This is something we do every year, right?
Everybody, just yearly thing, anything changed on any of this? Road and bridge fee is still the same. Jim? Is this something that we just follow, we don't follow this procedure?
I think you fill it out, and you have to send it back in, if I remember right, yeah, to the DMP, the option days. Mhm. So we just have to submit, and we're not making changes.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve, the optional county fees for 2020 as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. Yeah.
Either one.
Yeah. Sound good. Number 12, fire station number 1 update, to hear an update on the fire station number 1 construction project.
Good morning. How's everyone?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. To update you, early on in this project, Parkhill Smith and Hooker gave us a schedule of how they intended for the project to go with dates. They have held to the schedule very well. We've been through the construction documents, will be completed. I'm sure they'll be completed sometime this afternoon or sometime late tonight. We will go out to bid in the morning. It will be posted, the bids will be, bids are a little different in the way they do them. They're electronically posted, plans are electronically posted in a few places. And there'll be copies of the hard copy paper plans to see the purchasing. And then at one other spot, one of the association spots for the contractors. We will have a pre-bid meeting on August 28th. Mandatory meeting for anyone that wants to bid on it, so they can ask questions, and if any changes have come up, or any changes need to be made, any clarifications need to be made. They'll be due back in on September 10th. And assuming that the bids are good, we'll go back and forth for the final court meeting in September to get permission to proceed with the project.
And what is the total cost included in that?
They haven't changed the OPC at all on this one.
Will you remind me, in my mind, it's supposed to be
It's in the 3.8 range.
3.8.
Yes.
Anything unusual or unexpected that's come up with your process?
No, sir. It's actually gone very smooth from the beginning. We had a meeting with them, we sat down a couple weeks ago, Nick and I did. And we went basically page by page through the plans and looked at things and pointed out some things that we thought ought to be changed and discussed this and that. But it's all been minor details. The basic, building hasn't changed since the initial.
What will happen, to the property where the current station sits on? Well,
That will be up to y'all.
but I mean, do you plan to demolish that building? Is it, I don't remember the deed record sometimes there are restrictions that it's only used for whatever type of services, like protection in this case, and so then it reverts to the family. I don't know what that
It's
is.
not under those categories.
Okay, so it just becomes our county land, and so in the project scope, we don't have anything, priced out to do anything with that building, it just sits there as it is, once the new one is built.
I guess, I don't know, have y'all,
I would probably assume if we were gonna tear it down and put a bridge. We haven't really looked at that, that hasn't been.
Is there anything you can use like the storage in that building?
Good morning. The building is not structurally sound.
Yeah, that was gonna be my
There
next
is a
question.
huge liability with having that building. We have talked to Tad, I don't know what we're gonna do. If y'all remember correctly, we looked at that building for as far as, we're doing some septic work on it, and part of the building is on one piece of property, part of the building is on another, and according to future mapping, the bushland is actually in a right of way. So we don't know what's gonna have to happen with that building, but we have no intention of keeping it or using it for any other county functions.
So the cost of, I'm assuming, doing a demo on it, based on it not being structurally sound, that's not included anywhere currently?
We have to look into that because we can, as far as I know, we can get rid of the building as long as whoever buys it or acquires it, understands the implications of the building, we can get rid of it.
Just so you're saying
If
sell it.
somebody potentially could fix it up, yeah. I would recommend if we can, we just try to sell it, or if there's some stipulation that we have to do something with it, then cross that bridge when we get there.
Does Bushland enter into this at all? You mentioned that part of it, lies on Bushland.
It's, we don't know. We've asked a lot of questions and really haven't got a lot of answers. There's, drainage problems that they had on that piece of property. There's a water line on that piece of property. So we're not real sure, and there's not a lot of answers that we always get trying to look into it. So we know that when it was built, as far as we can tell, somewhere in 1970, 71, when it was built, it was just built. They had a location to build it, so they just did. So there's not, we don't really have like a deed on it, we don't have a lot of paperwork on it. We just have some paperwork from the tax office basically saying that it belongs to us, and the property belongs to other people, so we're.
So Tad, maybe some assistance through that process, I can't imagine cleaning anything like that up would take less than a year, so I just, maybe starting to look at what that looks like after.
We'll wanna get a survey
Sure.
and a title for it, and then we can figure out what
Yeah.
it's got, and then we can figure out what to do with what we've got.
Sounds good.
And we haven't gone that direction yet, even looking into it, because the building is still being used. So our primary plan is to just take all of our stuff, shut the lights off, not your house.
If only for that reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I just think about once the new structure is there, then that property becomes vacant, and then, it's just, then tends to be an eyesore, then, so
Yes,
I'm trying to get in front of that for those that live around the area.
The thing I will say is we ran into the same issue with Station 3 when we got rid of it, and we were able to fairly quickly resolve all of those issues and get rid of that building, so that it's no longer ours. So I would say in fairly short order, we'll get to the bottom of it and get it done. We just haven't done anything with it yet, because it's still in use.
With the new building, what's the time limit on the construction time? Do we have a time frame?
No, sir. That'll come from the contractors on the bids. We have some assumptions, but nothing based on anything. It'll probably take 8 to 10 months to build, I would assume at this point, based on the previous.
I must say, it's coming a little early, this. They have a line of patience.
He likes it, I told he likes it. He likes
He
it.
definitely will.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, number 13 is the burn ban, to consider an act on a proposed burn ban from 8/12/19 through 11/10/19. It's time again, huh?
What is our index, our KDDI, or I always have the acronym now.
It's Keats Fiber Drive Index. Right now, it's 451, it's gone up 9 points overnight. We're sitting in the 400 to 500 range, and what we also have is an increase in activity. Last week, we had at least one fire every day until Saturday, except for Thursday night, we had 3 fires at one time. All of those were lightning strikes, We did have structures threatened the other day due to a debris burning pit that somebody had thought they put out and left. So we're starting to see that ability with the heat of the day and the raising and lowering of the humidity. People will put a barrel fire out, think they have it out, and then sunshine of the day and the dropping of the humidity, the fire breaks back out and nobody's home and starts fire. So we're starting to see some of those issues happen. And as anybody will see looking outside, fuel loading right now is pretty high. So we're trying to be proactive on this. I know we've had a little bit of rain, but we've literally been fighting fire through every one of those rain showers. So fires are still there.
Chief, along those lines, I also remember during the legislative session, there was bills about fireworks and allowing them more frequently throughout the year. I'm not sure how far that got. We go for our briefing in September of all the items that have passed down to our local level.
Yeah, I did not get to read the completed bill, and I don't know when it goes into effect, but if I remember, Memorial Day has been added.
Okay.
So we're still looking at January, May for Memorial Day.
And then do we, with,
Yeah, maybe Labor Day also, I think Labor Day.
so for the calendar, would we expect to still have the missiles and fin order that we pass? We always pass something before it's fireworks session.
And the thing is, that's kind of always been a ceremonial type deal. We've been working with our distributors here and it's expanded to the Panhandle area that they really don't sell that specific type of firework in.
I don't know, Chief, sometimes I get calls and say, are you gonna allow us? And I just say, assume no, right?
Yeah, well, and the thing is, the fireworks lobby of the state of Texas is really big, so we have a very hard time regulating any type of fireworks. We call it the sticks and fins rule, that there's only one specific little firework that has the cardboard fins on it, and it's the old style, bottle rockets that they don't even make anymore that fit the category of the stick rule. So there's only two small fireworks that can be regulated in that sticks and fins ban. So it's kind of, like I said, it's one of the things we always look at and we try to do just to give us the ability to, to stop some of the, I don't even know what you call them, but they're kind of the fireworks people that go somewhere and buy their own stuff and bring it back here and it's not really regulated. So those are that's the main reason for that and why we try to enforce that rule. Other than that, we are very limited on what we can enforce on fireworks. We found out this summer that they've removed the shooting from a roadway from the code, so we can't even do that. And it's getting really hard to control the fireworks.
I move to approve the proposed ban burn from 8/12/19 through 11/10/19.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand.
Thank you.
Richard,
And
do you
just
have,
to
do you happen to know
clarify-
what happened this morning at Father King?
No, I think not. And just to clarify on the fireworks, the burn ban and fireworks are two separate things. We get calls about that all the time, so I just want to make sure we clarify that.
Thank you, sir. I don't know, there's fire trucks everywhere in this area, so I was just wondering. Number 14, official bond to recognize and approve official bond and oath of Brooke Bertram Graves, deputy by the county treasurer. Amen. Do you want to say something about this, or we just want to
No,
approve
it's
it?
just a standard renewal and, then a name change.
Okay. She got it.
I make a motion to approve the bond and oath for Brooke Graves as presented to the court.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 4-0, thank you. Number 15, equipment purchase, fire rescue, to consider and act upon the purchase of the Storm Series 2 EV FCC 28-D rescue tool from Advanced Rescue System in the amount of $8,920. Funds to come from capital equipment.
What is
You
this?
should have just stayed up there.
Jaws of life.
Yes, it's an electric, jaws block.
So is this a replacement or a new unit?
This is a new unit, but it basically just fits into our rescue cash. We have some that will be going auction this year, so we switch them out throughout. We started using the electric ones for our man units.
Typically, have you had, any opportunity to use something?
The one I have in my command unit hasn't been used probably as much as the rest of the Johnson department. We generally get there with the command unit and get started, and then the gasoline units take over. So, yes, we have used it quite a bit.
What's the lifespan on a piece of equipment like this? Is it a 5-year, a 10-year, a 1 year?
It depends. Vehicle technology generally dictates when you have to replace your tools, because we found that, cars that were built in the eighties are a lot easier to cut than cars that are built in the 2000s, so we've had to upgrade all of our tools, and we're still going through that upgrade process. Generally, we look for 10 to 15 years out of a rescue tool.
And then you mentioned coming from capital funds, is this in the budget?
It does need a budget amendment to come from contracted into capital that completed the motion, please.
And there are funds in there, Josh said that.
Move to approve the purchase of response series 2 EDF LC -28-D rescue tool from Advanced Rescue Systems in the amount of $8,920. Funds to come from, was that income?
That's right.
Was that fund coming
It
from?
needs to be moved from non-capital to capital.
So stated.
Motion and a second, all in favor? 4-0, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Number 16, employment items, to consider and act upon the following employment items: road and bridge employment of Jason W. Walker as maintenance tech as a replacement for Nathan Kristen effective July 29. Resignation of Colby Shea as summer mower effective August 1, 2019. And the resignation of Noah Rice as summer mower effective August 15, 2019. Y'all wanna vote on that or all of it? Okay, and then collections, the pay scale increase for Nicole Pacheco as collections deputy. Is that in the motion?
I make a motion that we approve the employment items as presented.
Motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 4-0. Let's skip 17 and 18. Number 19, county projects. Nicholas, you have anything you want to report today?
Just a small, something, yeah,
Okay, just say yes.
kind of wishy-washy. We're gonna add, I talked to Chris about adding the law enforcement center to as another building to our chiller services with West Tex. He said this is an extension of services with the, TCDN contract. It doesn't really need to go to court, but it's good to talk about it. So, basically, it's just gonna fall into the same, October to October. And it's an additional, get to the page. $6,890. And what they'll do is they'll come out, make sure that the equipment will service it 4 times a year, make sure it's running okay. Check all the pumps, make sure the sheriff and everybody out there is good with their heating and their cooling. Really just the cooling is what we're up to do. Make sure that equipment is up to par.
I'm surprised that wasn't already included.
Well, it was under warranty.
Okay.
So they couldn't include it because it was under warranty, and we had warranty issues with the mechanical contractors. So now that they're still looking at the boilers, so we're leaving that alone, and just doing the cooling towers, the cooling tower and the chillers out there right now.
So that amount needs to be added to our proposed budget, I'm assuming it's
It'll-
not in there or it's included.
I will be able to cover that out of just the building,
Okay.
building fund.
Okay.
So it won't be any additional.
Do we have any other warranty issues out there?
Yeah, what
Sheriff just told me, this morning that there was the leak on the mechanical equipment up on the roof that was kind of an issue. Did not leak, but there was a new small leak, but Western Builders contacted, the sheriff and said, hey, we know about it, we're on it, so, I wouldn't say it's great news, but it's better news than just ignoring it, so I think that the record center leak is pretty well taken care of. We went after court that day and looked on the roof and kind of went through it, and the actual roof membrane wasn't leaking. It was one of the air handler units that they were having most of the trouble with. It was wind blowing in, getting in through seals and things like that, so. We've had some gate issues, the concrete work is finished. ADA doors, got those installed. As far as warranty issues, I think the boilers, we're waiting to see how they operate when it gets cold.
So the Western Builders discussion on that issue was, I had brought my old demand letter that we sent in July 8th, that had been sent out. So is that now completed, or we're still in the to be determined bucket?
I want to make a statement on that.
Okay,
part of it.
okay.
Because the Western Builders has been very active
Okay.
and very involved in all of that. When we brought that, I was misinformed, because I thought it was a roof leak. It is not a roof leak. The water that's coming in is coming through the mechanical parts. And Western Builders have been out there back then nearly every day doing something. They caught nearly every piece of equipment up there on top of the roof. And it's not the roof leaking, it's the equipment that is coming in. So I just want to clarify that part of it, that Western Builders is good to go. Like you said, I think it's more of the mechanical issue, and we've had some problems with them all along.
So-
Just leave that at there.
But Sheriff, along those lines, and I do those facilities, but it seems to me that water and mechanical is a bigger issue than a roof leak. Is there another vendor that's
Well,
involved?
it's a housing
Okay,
around the equipment, and it's going through those seals and stuff. And, there's another vendor there involved in that, but Western Builders just had a problem with that vendor. And so they're taking care of it.
okay.
So,
We'll just leave it at that.
So a enormous amount of caulking has been done around all of the seals and those that may have an issue. So the issue itself with the leaking of the infrastructure there, has that been noted and checked into it?
That's sort of, the water's coming in through those vents and stuff like that. And that's what's getting down into the building and stuff. So they're getting there. And we had a big rain a couple of weeks ago or last week, and we didn't have a big. And so we had one this weekend, and they were all on top of it. I got an email from them yesterday that they knew about it. And out there, and
They assured us that they're not backing away from it. They're well out of their warranty, and they still, usually they'll contact me, sheriff, one of my guys that have been involved in it since day one, so.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah,
Western
no.
Builders is doing a good job with that. And they-
At some point, the fact that there's still leaks, that's, in my mind, a bigger picture than where. And it's a $24 million piece of, property, if you will. They'll get tired. I mean, you'll have to come to this meet in the middle. And it seems to me the fact that it's a brand new building, still leaks, something needs to be adjusted, right? It just feels to me, listening to this, like the leak is
It's
moving.
on the mechanical infrastructure
Right.
itself.
Mhm.
And that's
what.
I think we're in that point
Okay.
of adjusting, that's where we're at.
Okay, so you'll just keep us updated on that, okay. Nick, quick question on the chiller work, I think at the district courts or Santa Fe, update on all of that?
Cooling tower?
Or the cooling tower, yes.
It's complete.
Okay.
Shut it down last weekend, or a week ago. Yeah,
Last weekend.
Anyway, we shut it down at 3 and had the old one taken off and the new one put on, and fired everything back up by Sunday night at 9 p.m. So, worked a lot of hours and we got it going, and we really did, nobody got hurt.
That was around,
Yeah.
So,
the movie cleanup of that demo project?
They're there right now. They started that, they mobilized Friday, started the cleanup Saturday, and they're there right now, and we've had a couple of conversations where, what about this? I say, sure, if you wanna throw that away, throw it away. So, I think they're gonna help out with some of the stuff that's been there, that no one really knows how it got there.
Okay,
Tree limbs and things like that.
okay, that's nice.
I'm anxious to go today and see how far they've got, so.
Tree limb?
Just random different things that people have said, let's put it in the movie, you know, so whether it be a tree limb,
Put it inside of, facility.
there was,
What's up?
there was a time when trees were cut down, the public wanted to know if they could have them. The employees were ordered to put them inside the fence, because that was quote Potter County's tree limbs. So,
Is there cars out there, or?
that was just.
Inside the fence, but not inside.
Not inside the actual.
No, just inside. So, and then the barn that we talked about last time,
Yes.
sheriff went out that day and his people have cleaned everything out. I met with Chris Longy and, Daniel, and they made plans to auction the rest of that stuff off.
Good.
Blowing and going.
Well, let us know when, you're ready for us to take another tour. I'd love to go look at the
Sure.
tractor, but I'll wait your lead on that.
You're still gonna think about having a yard sale, aren't you?
Chris is.
I would like that tree limit.
You know, I was willing to let him come and take it.
I would love to have
Chris
that.
is looking into the yard sale, the legalities of that, and I think he's already gone and looked at the property at Sixth Street to see about possibly doing some stuff.
Move some stuff out of there.
Maybe operating out of there as far as auctions go. So,
Okay,
I don't know, I think it's ideas that are kind of being explored.
okay, good.
Thank
Small
you.
steps, thank you, thank you. Jail report, we have 558 people in our jail today, 84 of those are female, nobody was shipped out. 84% are felons, 11% are misdemeanors. County insurance items, do anything else?
Yes, the sheriff's office drone was involved in an accident on July 18th.
Sheriff,
The drone was involved in an accident.
didn't we just add this drone on the insurance?
What
Thank
happened?
goodness.
Can you tell me what happened?
Yes, please.
We were actually doing an exercise out there for our SOT team, doing some scenarios. Where we're at, we're not allowed to fly above 50 feet because of the airport, and so they were flying the drone and using that as far as surveillance.
50 feet? 50 feet.
Yes, sir. So we can fly because of the airport.
That's
There.
not- That's not fun.
At our place, and so we won't be doing any more scenarios at our place. We'll go out to the Bowie property.
Oh, that's great, Sheriff.
So they were using it for surveillance and live feeding that back into our command center. The wind caught it a little bit, and new pilot, and it crashed into the tree and fell.
So it's absolutely just destroyed totally, no fixing.
How much was that drone? Do you know?
We don't even talk about that.
I
Cause I cried that day.
How much is it really? I don't, I
It was
remember.
about 7.
Yeah, seven,
No, 50.
70,000? Oh
Some
my.
of us, we're trying to get.
We're not replacing that, are we?
We're gonna replace it, with the insurance will replace it, we're gonna try to take some of the stuff that we have on there, the parts, all the cameras and stuff are stuff.
So is your pilot gonna do a little bit more training?
If they continue to be on
Okay.
this. How's that?
Okay, thank you.
How many more drones do you have in your inventory?
I have another one, but it's only about 1,400, so we'll be using that one a lot more.
Maybe we should just buy those.
That's what we said. By the way, you didn't have to pay for that.
I know, I remember you paid for it out of your funds, but when I think about the claim going through the insurance and that going, hitting the other direction, it's like, anyway.
Okay, we are, it's 9:45, and we are going into recess, and we'll to do 17 and 18 when we come back at 3 p.m. today.
You're gonna your church will join us?
Yes, he will be here again, that's why we're doing that.
I do have a quick question before we adjourn, Judge, and maybe this is more on future agenda items. I think we all got the letter from the Texas Lottery Commission that we need to take some type of action from the governing body for proof on legal proceeds.
Okay,
So I just wanna make sure that someone has that on their radar so that you got it. You got it, all right.
okay, so, it is 9:47 and we are in recess. Thank you. 3 o'clock. Okay, it is 3:16 and we are back in session. And we will start with number 18, IT services contract. To consider an act upon a proposed contract with Andrews and Associates IT Solutions LLC for provision of information technology services for the county and granting a discretionary exemption to the requirements of section 262.023 of the Texas Local Government Code. Pursuant to sections 262.024A, 2, and 4 of Local Government Code. So, that's what we have come up with. I have a statement I would like to read, prepared this morning. It is and always has been my inherent belief that everything happens for a reason. I know for a fact that there are hard feelings on this topic that we are about to discuss. There is anger, there are things being said in anger, and I understand that. But what you don't know is that this decision was certainly not made in anger or retaliation, but in such a way to do only what is best for this county and for the people that depend on the IT department, which is everyone. In my position as judge and along with this court, it is my opinion that we have not just the power, but the duty to ensure not only the employees, but also the public that we serve. Our sincere apologies, as well as our promise that we will do everything in our power to prevent something like this from ever happening again. And it is also my opinion that that's what we have done. We have gone above and beyond to make sure that no one loses their job. Positions will be lost, but not your job. And if you think that this is something that I or we as a court enjoy doing, think again, it is not. That is exactly why it took 4 months to get this done. It's gut-wrenching, it's heartbreaking, but at the same time necessary. So I'm asking that you, the former IT department employees, bear with us as this transition takes place, and you, the elected officials and department heads and employees, continue to bear with us also. Thank you. I guess I will entertain a motion for Tyler to come up and say a few words, if you would like, and introduce yourself and introduce the people that are with you, and then we'll discuss.
And maybe, Tyler, if you wouldn't mind kind of walking through the proposal, just as, for the audience, if you will, and what we have in front of us.
Absolutely. So good afternoon, Commissioners, Judge, thank you for time on the agenda this afternoon, appreciate it. So, my name is Tyler Andrews, our company is Andrews and Associates IT Solutions. I have with me David Blankenship and Justin Chip from our company. We're here today to present a proposal to allow us to take over the IT services. So this will be a multi-step process. There's a lot of moving parts and pieces, but the abridged versions will be working with the existing county employees and supplementing and augmenting that staff to basically help get more done in a shorter period of time. We'll be implementing newer technology that is currently being used, automation, streamlining practices that will help us locate inefficiencies, help the firm run more efficient and do more with the limited resources that we do have. So the proposal is a flat rate monthly agreement that includes all of our labor, smart technology, software packages that will help to secure the county, as well as, our team, in addition to the existing staff, we'll be adding our existing team to help with that as well. Everything that we're proposing is flat rate, so will not fluctuate month to month. That does not include things such as hardware purchases. For instance, if we determine that a new firewall is necessary to properly secure the county, that's not included in this proposal. This proposal is limited to labor and software purchases. We will, if passed, starting tomorrow, we'll begin going through all the systems, looking for any security vulnerabilities, deploying our software, beginning the process to harden the security of the network and server infrastructure of the county. It will take some time, but this will be our highest priority. We will immediately be starting on a disaster recovery plan implemented, and things such as this that would help either prevent such an occurrence from happening again, or to be able to recover from it quickly and efficiently. That's the basic outline of our proposal. That's what we do for all of our clients and all different types of business. I'd like to yield back to y'all for any questions or comments regarding this.
Yeah, maybe a couple of comments regarding other counties that you work with, maybe what that structure looks like, and then maybe for the audience more of the day-to-day, right? If my computer doesn't turn on tomorrow for the sake of discussion, where would I call? And then where will the employees be going tomorrow, right? Just maybe talk through that a little bit.
Sure. So, another county we work a lot with is Carson County, just down the highway there. All of our folks are already background checked, fingerprinted, cleared to work in the criminal justice information system. That means sheriff's department type data. We already assist with CJIS audits and work with the GLEX coordinators, and we basically handle everything in the end. So we'll be doing the same thing here. We'll be taking what we've done there and bringing it on a little larger scale here to your county. As far as the day-to-day, tomorrow, nothing will be that much different for all of the users of the system. They'll still submit their requests the same way. They'll still be seeing the same faces as well as some new faces. And our hope is that our response time, customer service, and other key performance indicators will increase. But tomorrow, initially, there's not going to be a monumental change. We're going to keep these things going so the departments will continue to function as they are. Business won't be disrupted. Processes will continue to run as they did. And we'll begin to implement our new items, our new software, things like our ticketing portal, our antivirus, updated security software. We'll implement them in such a way that it won't affect productivity of the county departments or their users. The majority of this will be done after hours, anything that will disrupt productivity. We'll just start implementing one step at a time. So for tomorrow, no monumental change. Yes, sir.
Kelly, you obviously know what the problems are that we went through over the last 4 months. What kind of assurances can you give us that that won't happen again?
So the events that transpired were essentially a series of failures. No one who's honest and truthful can give you an assurance that that'll never happen again. It's just not possible. There's other countries initiating things like this who have a lot more money than we do. What we can do is put in many layers of security to make it much harder for this to happen again. Security is a lot like an onion, is oftentimes what we use to describe this. There's all these layers before you get to the center. So what we'll be doing is implementing more layers of security to make it harder to harden the technology, and then also working on the most important part, which is recovering from something like this if it happens again. If we have the proper equipment, software, and procedures for disaster recovery, we should be able to recover from something like this if it were to happen again much more quickly, given that if we have the proper resources and equipment to do so.
Instead of using the onion, you use an avocado, because I hate onions.
Yeah, avocado is superfood. Yeah, so you want to get to the pit of that.
Right.
There's a lot in between that you got to get to. Very, very simple, absolutely.
So, possibly one of the concerns being the number of clients that you have could be an overload as far as having that direct concentration on one account. Is that something that might be a concern?
I don't believe so. We currently have 20 employees on staff, so with this additional, we have 29. Our employees currently take care of roughly 200 computers per employee, whereas Clark County IT staff is taking care of 60 to 70 computers per employee. So our efficiencies in automation and software help us to take care of things like that more efficiently. The team you have now is 9, so you're gonna have 3 times as many people with us. I don't know where you would gain any more by adding more people to that. At some point, there's only so much that a bunch of people running around can do. more important is the knowledge that we bring. We have over 100 years of experience in this field. Our client base is fairly large and spread out in every sector of business, so there's not off that we haven't seen. And to me, your county is a business. You have many departments within it. They're also businesses. They run differently. They have different software packages, different people, personalities, and teams in place, and we'll treat them that way. So we're gonna look at each different department and find solutions that fit them individually as well as the county as a whole. I think if you think about it that way, the plan would be to kind of divide teams in each department, so that each department is getting focused attention from a small group that knows exactly what's going on in that department and what the needs of that department are. Instead of throwing a bunch of bodies all over the place that may not be able to work together as well, and we'll be focused on knowing what each department needs. Does that make sense?
One of the recommendations that came out of all the situation was we needed employee training on security. And I was wondering if you had a plan for that. And I think one of the parts of that needs to be some testing as far as giving out dummy.
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, and I wish I'd mentioned that earlier, when speaking with Mr. Kelly, no matter how much security we put in place, the biggest linchpin in the system is the user sitting in front of the computer sometimes. I can get quite a few bad emails a day and nothing happens because I know exactly what they are, where they came from, and how to tell if they're good or not. Because I've had the proper experience and training to deal with that. So one of the first things we'll be doing is implementing a training system for all county employees. It's both human-led by David, training as well as a self-paced online component. So there's two different components that go together. Basically what will happen is we'll set about this training, we'll have training classes, they'll do their self-paced training, and then we'll send out what's called phishing tests. We won't say when, we won't say what they're gonna look like, but emails will come to all of you, and it will tell us who clicked on them. Who clicks on those emails get to come back for additional training because they didn't get the full scope of the training the first time around. So that's something that'll be happening all the time, random. There's many different types of testing we do. I don't really want to discuss all of them because then some of them more work. But we utilize a training program called KnowBe4, which was developed by a gentleman named Kevin Bitnick, who was a prolific hacker in the 70s and 80s and did a lot of illegal things to the AT&T network. And since has come out of prison reform and works with the government to help them stop things like that from happening. So they have this really excellent training program, which we utilize along with other resources to make sure that all computer and technology users are properly trained. That's a big component.
Essentially, you're saying that all employees in Clark County will go through this training and one that has access to the system.
That is my proposal, absolutely. We train people to drive cars, operate equipment, fire guns, every other thing this county does, but I'm not aware of any security trainings for operating commercial technology.
Anything else? Maybe just by way of process, just for the audience, and maybe to echo a couple of your comments, Judge. So when the attack happened, well, let me back up a little further. In my mind, when we think about IT, I really think about it in three big buckets, if you will. I've been commissioner now 8 years, 2 more senior members here on the court with me, and from my experience, IT, our department is always something that we've kind of struggled with, getting the right skill set, keeping the training, keeping technology, keeping infrastructure, etc. So that's always kind of just been the nature of the business. That is IT in its sense, right? The second is really the big attack that we all experienced and felt on a very local level. And through that process, we definitely discovered vulnerabilities. Could we have prevented it? Depends, right, on the situation. Are there things we could have done different? Absolutely, and I think in full transparency, the group really uncovered that. It was very transparent about the process. And then the third piece, which the judge spoke to, is really the cybersecurity vulnerability moving forward, right? We all recognize the amount that it costs the taxpayers to then recover from something like this, and what can we really do moving forward? So that's kind of like just the three big buckets, if you will, but to echo some of those comments, we have really been digging deep with partnering IT infrastructures, right? Like, what does that look like? We've been to the city, we've been to Randall County, we've been to the junior college. We're looking at colleagues in the local community to say, what are things we could have done different? What would you have done different? And so through that, I think it brought a lot of fruit forward. It helped build some of those relationships that maybe should have been there out of the get-go, but just it is what it is. And so it helped really move that dialogue. And then as a part of that, which is where this discussion really started, and I know Judge, really wanted us to individually look at what could that look like for the IT department. And so while we are not always at liberty, once it hits the agenda and we post on Thursday, we're here ready to vote on Monday to lean on the benefit of the employees, which is what I hope that they have felt. Communication was shared, Brandon, as the IT leader, shared that with his department to say this is coming for a vote well in advance. So people had time to talk to their families, talk to just process individually. We don't always have that seat. That's not always a luxury seat we sit on. And so I'm thankful that I feel like at least the employees have had time to debrief, figure out what that looks like. And Kay, I know, has also been from an HR perspective and visited with employees. What does that look like in terms of what's shifting, what's staying the same? And then I know Tyler, just in preparation for the vote, is talking through what will new medical benefits look like. And so I know one of our next agenda items is to look at the budget, and man, do we need to find some dollars. This was not that discussion. And so what I hope people feel at the end of the day is this discussion going in, and this is what I shared with the employees. I went to go speak to every employee face to face. Say, this is a discussion that we want to make sure you have a job to go to, you have a comparable salary to go to. The discussion was not, how do we save $500,000? The discussion is, how do we take care of this county and still take care of our employees at the same time? While it's not a perfect design, I have been in a position where I have had to do layoffs, and that is a very difficult thing to do. This was not that. And so what I hope people feel at the end of the day is that we did try to lean on the benefit of the employees. And so I just wanted to share that kind of process-wise, which I know we'll individually kind of vote on that, but if that's helpful for the audience, I know the IT department, this is tough. This is a very tough discussion to have. And so I have to applaud those that are working through the transition, because we are all here to make sure we benefit the county and make sure we take care of the county. But it is a very difficult time, so I don't want to dismiss any of that.
Thank you. Do you have anything else? May I ask a question? So what's your name?
Your address.
So just like last year with during budget discussion, I think there was a programmer that we left in the budget, or y'all left in the budget. And then, so there's some things that currently some of the departments are, expecting to see happen as far as different programs being written, some of the stuff that Roland left behind, like the bell bond tracking and those kind of things that, and I know that it's not gonna all go away, but those are certainly some things. So is it just a plan to go to each department and say, what do you have going on? What do you, because there are some things that are.
Some one-offs.
Yeah, that is exactly right, that we currently still use and that we depend on heavily, for us to do our job, so just.
Absolutely. So we've spoken with the development folks, Steve and Chelsea. They're very talented people, and their focus will remain the same. So I know there's some systems, a hot check system, a couple other things like that they're in progress, that they're actively working on, and that will not change. But we also do intend and would like to meet with each department to find out, are the priorities that we have correct? Has anything changed? Do we need to do anything different? Kind of just start moving that process along. The hope also is that we can add more resources to the process to help it go a little faster and a little smoother as well. So, our hope is that all employees will stay on staff and everything like that, would stay on track, and everybody has different responsibilities and roles, and those folks are still remaining what they were as far as the projects they were working on.
And then maybe to add a little to that, Julie, too, what I think we'll start to, maybe at least, recognize here at the court is some reporting around, turnaround times, so the tickets, part of, at least the proposal that's in front of us is just what's called SLAs, the service level agreements of how quick they should be responding to tickets, what does that look like, and some metrics that we can start to evaluate. And I think the proposal is for a 1-year agreement with the court to renew should we choose to do that. And so, you know, all of that going in to really, I think, protect both sides, right, to make sure this is the right partnership moving forward. And so I think that's a really good question, Julie, because the departments will be really involved in what that looks like. You guys see this on the day-to-day.
That's right. And, you know, security is of utmost importance, but so is customer service in our line of work. It's really equally as important. Communication and customer service are two of our kind of foundational values that we focus on along with security. So there will be detailed reporting given each month of everything that transpired in the month and accounted for by time, so you can even calculate some value there. Every person that does any ticket for anyone will be providing a detailed explanation of what was done and the amount of time spent, so we'll know who was doing what and what time.
We're pretty needy, so I'm just letting you know.
Okay, it's my
I
understanding
got a question.
that you and Scott got with your attorney, the contract is good with you.
They sent over a very good, concise, clean contract. We put some things out that are unique to the business for the county, but we appreciate that. Tyler and Tracy Phipps is here.
Oh, that's Tracy, okay.
Returning. So thank you for that. With the modifications, they accepted every modification request. That's appreciated. We feel for that. The contract is specific enough to let us all know what this is supposed to accomplish, but not so overdone and large that it gives the lawyers lots of things to argue about. So we feel like we've struck a really good balance. So that's a long way of saying yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, I agree.
Sheriff, did you have something?
I have just a question as far as, so you're gonna do, your company will do everything that our IT is doing now?
Yes, sir.
Everything. I mean, because we, like Julie said, we're needy, we have our audio visual, like at the law enforcement center there. We have a class or something, it's not working, we call Rick and he's there, getting it fixed. So that's covered in.
Yes, sir, absolutely, nothing will change on that.
Okay, and y'all will be housed, I mean, is it your house here?
We'll still be in the Santa Fe building on the 6th floor. And of course, our office is right down the street on the corner of 9th and Adams, so we'll have some more resources there. But the majority of the folks will still be there on the Santa Fe building. There's only one thing that I believe was proposed to be removed from the budget, and that was doing line locates for 811, locating gas lines and such. So that would be the only thing I would say that would change.
Our office has got a Z drive that's got a bunch of the older cases in it, and I don't think anybody's touched it to get those back, and we need to get those back.
Okay, we can absolutely get that going, and we'd love to discuss more. We've got some good document management solutions, and we've also worked with a lot of attorneys, so there's a lot of, closed file type systems and things like that that we might also discuss looking at to help with those needs.
Sheriff, did you have something?
Well, I brought some amendments that are required by CJIS and by the federal government. And they're actual contracts that have to be signed and in place before a private company can come in and even touch our stuff. So I want to make sure that we have all that signed, and it's something that each agency or each department that has access to that has to have a copy of this contract in their office for audit purposes. So I'm sure you guys know about that, but I just wanted to make sure that we had that, because that is an issue that we have with CJIS, because that definitely shows down.
And Tyler, you're aware of that, correct?
Yes.
Anything else?
Any other, highlighted comments from, department heads or sheriff right now, sir?
I've got a question,
Yes,
if I can. I'm the TAC for Potter County, and part of that deal is until I verify the background checks and everything with them fingerprint checks, and they've had the CJIS training, I can't allow them to touch our equipment.
David?
So I'll actually have you all of our CJIS certs tomorrow, I think. We're happy to be fingerprinted again. Everyone's training is up to date, and of course, the current, IT department, I believe you should have all of their info. We may need to sign new documents, since that deployment will be changing, but we can certainly give you our, CJIS certificates, as early as tomorrow.
This applies to us too, because we're an individual agency. We have the same forms and contracts that we have to do to just make sure. I know the sheriff's a bigger scale, but, we got to get ours done too. And I'm assuming probably Randall's investigators and Scott's investigators too, so.
problem.
And the contract covers after hours, obviously working in law enforcement is 24/7.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And we had the sheriff's office had a budgeted for a data conversion, and that hasn't been done yet. So
You're talking about the Spillman data conversion
from Roland system
to Spillman?
to Spillman.
That was in this year's current budget.
That's correct. So I think he's been talking to whoever was supposed to.
Yeah, Steve's working on it. Yeah, I can tell you that it's still being worked on. I discussed that with Steve on Friday, and, he's working on that extract. There were a few complications in the way it was written originally, in that there were modifiers in the software for things like eye color, different things like this that sort of complicate extracting that data, but he is making headway on getting that extraction completed, so.
So who do we contact whenever we have something, like right now, we're in the middle of DigiTicket, which is electronic citation deal, and Brandon's been involved in that, so we just continue with, if we have a new project, we contact you, we contact Brandon, David, who we contact?
You'll still use
Who's
the
our
new
point of
channels,
contact?
you'll still use the same channels, initially, and we'll give, plenty of communication about any change, but, in the next couple of days, I would like to get, opportunities to meet with all of you to discuss. Like I said, each of your departments is a little bit different, almost like, separate businesses to us. We wanna make sure that each of you are able to communicate with us in channels that are efficient and convenient for you, and make things as easy as possible. But certainly initially, all the, current processes will stay in place. Brandon, of course, is still gonna be available. David will be available day to day. They're at Santa Fe building as well, and the rest of the staff. So ticketing system, emails, phone numbers, all those things are the same. And, initially, I would recommend you continue using those same processes, but I would love to get, with each department in the next few days to iron out any changes or adjustments to that.
I'm gonna go back both prosecution offices,
Okay, no problem.
because both of us got invested.
Okay, absolutely.
Anybody else?
Just wondering, if we brought you on board, could somebody from your company make our meetings? Maybe once a month or once every 2 weeks or something?
Absolutely, yes, sir. Either David or myself will be here.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions
Yeah.
during that time, if that happens.
Yeah, I'm not, certain, but we'd love to get status updates, make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, it'd probably be good to have an agenda item, just an open agenda item.
I think the more communication, the better for this kind of things. We'd love that.
Okay.
Judge,
Yes.
I'm assuming that the Motorola radio system's been discussed with you, With them.
With me or with them?
with them.
Has it? No. You assume wrong.
We have a trunking system that is a radio system, but it's basically just a massive computer system that's got transmitters stuck on the end of it, so.
Like a Unicom kind of thing, or?
It's a Motorola trunking system.
So we have lots of experience also with, EMS, aircraft, radio equipment, things like that. So I don't foresee any issues there. We do have some great partners, specifically in the radio world as well. Omega Electronics here in town. So as far as computer systems go, won't be any change. They will be handled the way they were before. We don't have the proper resources to climb towers and put up antennas, but certainly we would coordinate the technology and computer side of that. Is there any specific concern with this?
Just making sure y'all realize that you're getting into that also.
Sure.
I'm gonna pick on the land. Any issues at all that pop up in the future?
Nothing comes to mind. I mean, I think that once we have a meeting with them, that it's just a matter of understanding priorities for us.
Thank you.
Okay. Also, along that same vein, payroll priorities, when we're in the crunch period for payroll, when we have system failures, they require immediate response, and so we'll have to make sure those are addressed, because the timeline is imperative.
Absolutely, we want to make sure everybody gets paid.
Yes.
Need riots, so, you call, we'll come on it. You call, we'll come on it.
Everybody?
I make a motion that we approve the proposed contract with Andrews and Associates IT Solutions for provision of information services technology as presented to the board.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you all very much, appreciate your time. Look forward to working with all of you.
Me too, thank you. All right, number 17, budget for fiscal year 2019-2020, to discuss the proposed budget for fiscal year and take any action necessary to announce Monday, August 26th at 9 a.m. Commissioner Court as the date, time, and place for a public hearing on the budget and approval of the budget, and to approve publication of proposed increases of salaries, expenses, and allowances for elected county and precinct officers. What we're gonna do is, have for things that we've discussed already, I'm gonna go over any changes that I have made since then. Carrie, I think you're gonna put them on the screen, correct?
And this is the paper document that you presented to us, Carrie? Okay, okay.
You want me to just walk through these?
If you want to, but we need to hear you, so turn your mic on, sorry. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, you'll just go through those one by one really fast, and we'll get to the bottom of all this.
Well, I just started with the total proposed expenditure from the judge's proposal. We'll see a couple of items in there that I'm correcting. It was transposition on the human resource salary. And on this general administrative, we hadn't closed in our contract for the radio service, but, Chief Johnson did send me an updated quote on that. It paid down to $130,000, we had $50,000 in there. The sheriff showed me this morning that we need to add another $10,000 or so back for another piece of that. So, instead of having a reduction of 125, we'll have, I'm sorry, 155, we'll have 145. And then on facilities and maintenance, in the proposal, we have the outsourcing option in there. And I don't know if all of you have had a chance to speak with Nicholas. Y'all had asked him to come up with another option, and he did that. I don't know if y'all need him to discuss that.
I don't.
Okay. That will require us adding $438,000 back into the expenditures. Elections, Lillian found out that they had to increase the hourly wages, the hourly rate that we need to pay, so we added 30,000 in salaries for that.
Just for the primary elections.
Tuesday.
The state legislature increased primary pay for election workers from $8 an hour to $12 an hour.
Okay.
And then in the original proposal, for most of our new elected officials, last year y'all gave them extra funds in certain areas to get them some. And I forgot to pull it out of JP two on his stationery and supplies and his travel. So I was just pulling that out like I've done for every other elected official. And then in the jury, I just needed to fix a correction. You know, they eliminated the position and spread the salary, and I needed to adjust between district clerk and jury. Basically the same thing with the county attorney, between the county attorney's office and family crime unit. An adjustment that they made there, we just needed to transfer funds from one department to the other. I had a rounding error on the constable salaries, and we need to add that back in. And then on public service, every time the tax rate changes, our contribution changes since it's based on that tax rate. So that brings us back to, actually it's on about the 287 because I still have.
Does that cover both years?
Yes, it does. So that takes us back to that spreadsheet here. To a budget with expenditures over revenues of 1.9 million. But when we look at our break even, with the 4% tax increase that the judge had proposed, we're short $287,000.
And how much would go into fund, well, I think the answer is nothing was going to fund balance, but will you highlight the cell of what goes over to fund balance?
Well, this 287
would be just
taken out,
okay.
Fund balance. And that's 4% tax increase.
And so then you also gave us additional handouts with different proposal models, and the 4.54 is what you showed us, not a, well, I say break even, but it still is expenditures over revenue, there's still quite a bit in transition.
Right, your revenues are still short by 1.6 million, but if we assume that we will get 5% of our budget back, that it will be underspent, the change in the fund balance should only be about basically break even.
But that means nothing will go into the fund balance.
Correct. And keep in mind, you see at the top of my worksheet here, I showed $1,524,000. That's money that's coming out of our debt service fund balance to pay our debt. When we borrowed the money for the district court's building, our debt payment went from 2.4 million per year to 5.1 million per year. It was our goal to keep that tax rate at the nickel. So in order to keep that tax rate at the nickel, it required the 1.5 million from fund balance.
But that will run out.
That will run out,
I mean, pretty quickly if we're only putting $500 in there with the 4.5%.
right, well, and this is actually a different fund balance. This is in the INS fund balance rather than the general fund. And our estimate right now is 4.7 in that fund balance. And that's several years of accumulation plus the 2 million that money from the LEC project. So, yeah.
So Carrie, help me think through what this looks like, maybe not next year, but maybe the year after, right? When that balance has come down, we have a revenue cap that we're now living under, and we have this amount of debt that we still, because we promised the nickel on the debt service is what the court promised. What does that look like potentially in year 2, if you will?
Well, I just take out that, $1.5 million sharing, sorry. Change over. If we were not taking that $1.5 million out, we would have to raise taxes around 7.5% just to break even. So that $1.5 million that you're going from your debt service fund balance makes a huge difference in what is able to go into the general fund.
So it's pretty significant, I think, Judge, for this year, we can figure out what that tax rate looks like to, try to get through this budget with knowing what's coming, and what's in the coffers and what the departments will be dealing with. I mean, it's important to not spend what you don't need, number one, because all of that helps pay off downstream. But then to start planning for the payoff of that amount of debt is pretty significant. Several of us will still be members of the court at that time, when that decision comes to the forefront. If it's 2 years down, yeah.
So basically, my intent by getting those worksheets was that the tax rate to just break even this year may not be in our best interest, knowing what's coming in next year with the 3.5%.
So what is your recommendation based on all of that, Carrie? I know you gave us the 4.54 to break even, knowing next year we can't go past 3.5 because of the legislative work.
I don't really have a recommendation, but I do feel like it needs to be more than 4.5.
What if can you plug in 5, see what it looks like? I mean, I know what 5 looks like.
Put in 500,000.
Are you saying $500,000, Judge, or are you saying 5%?
No, 5%, I'm sorry, 5% increase. Yeah, I'm sorry too. Yeah, just like everything like it is, except just raise the tax increase to 5% to see what that does.
Very close, you have 256,000 approximately going into your fund balance.
And what was it this year as a point of comparison?
The tax increase.
The amount for the fund balance? Is that like 1.3 million or? Well, I mean, I think what's gonna happen is all of the, I'm just speaking holistically, I can't imagine every county not dealing with something like this, and so what will happen is it'll roll up to the state, everybody will have these big increases, and then, if you're a state legislature, then you say, see, this is why we had to suppress the caps. So then we end in this circle, right?
And we'll start the conversation next month.
Yeah. Except that the state raised their taxes 8%, that was okay with them, no big deal, but they cap us at 3.5, so I don't know. But, okay, so 5% was the increase of, and it'd go up to $33 for $100,000 home.
And what was our amount this year that we moved to the fund balance?
Our budget actually showed $1.5 million in deficit budget, which was breaking even.
Okay.
Alfonso, do you want to know? You say that.
Okay.
$37 for.
And then don't forget, 80% of our residents live in the city proper, 80 plus, so then the city's raised in school district, so then it's all added together. which I know is not our lane, but when we think about the taxpayers, I add them all together in my mind. And they're dealing with the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, cause if this was this time next year, we were looking at 3.5 with our budget we have, this is that line item. There's no way we could pass that budget.
Telling Carrie this morning, every year, every budget year, we always have money left over, we have a good sufficient fund balance. And then every year, it comes down more and more because everything breaks, or we have to do this, or something else happens. And it's just like an emergency fund you have at home, it goes away. And so here we are again, our fund balance is almost nothing, and then we have to start fresh. So, I don't know, man, I need to go 5.5, but that's not
Could you get to the, could we see the 5 range, I don't know, 5 for 5?
That's what we were just.
Yeah,
5.5.
I'm looking at.
It was 200.
And then 517 is 337. 524 is 417.
Okay, so I think y'all, anybody have any questions, because this is where it's gonna be, there's no, we can't change anything else without raising taxes more. Is there anything other than what you just spoke of that has changed? Bottom line.
So Judge, for today, are you wanting us to kind of agree on some type of, or at least discuss where we're comfortable at some type of rate, and then hear any more comment from the departments?
Yeah, what rate are you guys comfortable with? You wanna go as high as 5.5?
No, 517.
You know, part of the responsibility is that we need to take care of our county, and without funding, how do we do that?
No kidding, yeah, I know.
So we might be irresponsible by not raising it.
We're gonna have to raise.
We're gonna have to raise it.
Maybe back to it one time, and this too.
We're gonna be restricted 3.5 next year from now on. Are you kidding me?
I don't think it's now, I think initially.
Well, at least for a couple of years before they meet again.
I think that would be.
I don't know.
We have a special.
I think that's a political party fight, Commission, to be honest with you. I know tons of Republicans that did not want to vote for that, and were afraid of seats and changing, and that's a party topic. What is your proposal, Judge? Where would you like us to look at?
At the meeting is 3.29.
3?
Yeah, 5.39.
But there's not a change from that or 5.32. Yeah, there may be a formula change.
I can have it exact same.
I think there's just a formula. It'll be a slight change if anything.
Alfonso says 5.47. Let's go let's stay at 5.47 for now, and then if there's any questions out there, anybody. Okay. It's 37, almost 30, that's $36. Which isn't very much money at all. Okay, he wants to say, I'll allow a few comments. Randall?
Afternoon.
And you had 5.47, Judge?
Judge, as a member of the Commissioners Court, what do you think is your most important duty?
What do I think is my
What do you think is your most important duty for obligation?
duty? Taxpayer. They fund everybody in here, and you're a taxpayer too. So you know that, you know that you have to pay taxes.
Right.
Okay, that's who we answer to. That's who I answer to.
So everyone, do you agree with that answer?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the question is.
That's my most important thing.
But Judge, I mean, I would like to say with the budget, like, I don't understand what the discussion is. Cause what I'm trying to avoid is us getting into a back and forth that's not gonna bear fruit. If we'd like to talk about the budget, let's dig into the budget.
Well, I've got a point to that. So, question? Commissioner?
Well, there's essential services that we have. And, you can debate what's most important, I guess.
I think it goes hand in hand. Look at that also, just comes out, that is part of providing, this, if we can, but
I would agree, the budget and money stuff is very serious. I would also agree with the, other factor that should be included in it, is that we run like a business. Anyway, my public duty, I'm the chief law enforcement person of Potter County and Armstrong counties. My job is to protect the citizens of those counties. And the way I do that is by having professional employees in my office that are capable of performing the duties of our office. And I do not have that now. I'm very proud of the 47th District Attorney's Office. Historically, from the Bridge and Multi-Agency Task Force that I put together for the Child Advocacy Center, 47th DA's office is right on their level, just like everybody else was. We had a crime victim advocate in the office before I even moved who was such a term, Carol McDaniel. On my tenure of office, I've been a supporter of the Family Support Services, Bridge, and Nakata to help them with their ability to handle things for our victims. We've got one heck of a great internship program that we put together, and that means for high school students, college people, or law students. We had 9 interns go through our office this summer. 2 did externships, 3rd did not, but his 3rd year, he got a 3rd-year bar card, which means he could act like a lawyer or someone else is there. Our dismissal rate is approximately 12%. The state average is 26.5%. I know of some offices where the dismissal rate is over 30%. I'm very proud of the 47th District Attorney's Office, and for the last 8 years, I have been struggling to keep experienced prosecutors. And they are leaving for more money and less work. Our office is our Potter County is #1 in the aggravated sexual assault of children in the state of Texas. We are #1 in civil commitments in the state of Texas, regardless of the size of the jurisdictions. We are #1 in domestic violence in the state of Texas. And we have our full share of murders, aggravated assaults with a deadly weapon. The aggravated sexual assaults of children, there are good prosecutors, really good prosecutors that aren't able to prosecute those. We have 2 people over in our office that do a bang-up job of doing it. Hold on, this, comparisons that you gave me, all of that's basically entry-level jobs. And you don't see on TDCAA, and that's where that came from. I looked Saturday or Sunday, there's a misdemeanor job there for $89,000. The county that we're closest to and more like with is Odessa. Bobby Bland is having the exact same problems I am. He's training them up and they're gone. And in fact, I'll have one of them come and apply here to leave Bobby's office. And it's like a 2-year person and they're ready to get somewhere else for some real money. So, I have to have the ability to hire, keep, and retain experienced people. For my staffing, I have 5 people that have 2 of them have nearly 3 years and the others are just now getting past 1 year. One of the 1 years is actually working on the domestic violence stuff. She's a very good prosecutor and very smart. And she's getting a lot of help and learning quickly. That's what I have left to fill Meredith Pinkham's spot when she leaves and goes to the feds, which will be before the end of this budget cycle, I would expect. By the end of this time next year, Jack Owen will have retired. Great appellate lawyer, and I've got one of the second years, got 3 years basically there now. She's in there being our second appellate person, trying to learn from Jack as quickly as she can. But when Jack goes, we have lost a ton of experience and knowledge out of that. And I'm not going to be able to hire somebody like that with $70,000. I have salaries in the office. There are 11 people in the 70s, 2 in the 80s, 1 in the 90s, 91,000, and 4 others that have been there for quite some time, like Jack, Mark Baskett, Richard Martindale. They're making over 100,000. That's the combination of the salaries. We have a wide salary gap because of the 11 down there. I need some way to find it. The spots that are open right now is the intake chief, and then there's an intake spot that we're been hoping to try to get over to where it could be a trial spot. We can convert it to the trial spot. Right now, like I said, there ain't anybody ready to replace Meredith. So that means that court docket will sit open without a prosecutor. Out of the 44 people that have left my office since 2005 when I first started, 33 of them have gone to other places to work. Most of them in maybe prosecution offices. When you look at our statistics from 2015 and comparing, actually 2005 to 2015, we were knocking the socks off of it. Starting since 2016 and 18, I don't remember the last time we had a full staff of attorneys. I know the last time that we did have a full staff of attorneys, it lasted for about 4 or 5 months and we were back in the hole again. I'm not making this stuff up. When you don't have people to put them in a trial court, things slow down. The numbers back that up. From 16 to 18, we didn't move as many guilty pleas. We didn't try as many cases. Matter of fact, we averaged 51 cases a year from 2005 to 2015. And we only did average 35 in the 16 through 18 cycle. Not having those, and then the dismissal rates was lower also. I guess that's a good thing. Like everything else. When it's looking here from somebody besides me, Sheriff, what happens when I don't have people in my court? What happens to your judge?
I'm sorry? Okay.
So, we had that before, so it's gonna want, I think you had like 530 something. So, like I said, there's nobody to replace Meredith with.
What's her current salary? Can I ask that? Can I ask what her current salary is?
On a good salary?
No,
Or-
Meredith, what's her salary?
Can't you turn that salary over to Meredith's salary? Can't you turn that salary over
What
to
is her salary?
and
What
use
is
it?
her salary?
Yeah.
And Randall, as you're getting those numbers, I mean, you are aware your budget is $4 million roughly. And so when I add county clerk and district clerk, even those combined are not, like, other than the sheriff's office, when I think of the top 2 to 3 expenditures and departments,
They don't
you're
have-
right at the top.
They don't have 19.
Right, it's apples to
professional
oranges, yes.
prosecutors that are paying for student loans.
Right. I'm just
My
calling
first
out that you're the,
assistant
hey, may I finish? And I'll certainly let you, I'm just calling out that you're at the top tier of the budget. So I'm just calling that out, you're not at the bottom
I
end of
would
the
not
budget, you're
expect
at
it
the
to
top.
be any other way.
Okay, all right,
Because we have the highest educated folks in the county. I'm not 18 and 19, we've all got post, but, well, 20 count me, I guess, but I'm out of it. So I'm saying I can't. My first assistant, my first assistant will not get his student loans paid until he's 60 years old.
So here's the question that,
Her salary. I'm looking.
Well, my point is that if she's satisfied with her salary, which she must not be, she's leaving, but she's probably getting paid fairly well. Now, if you hire somebody back at her salary, and the same goes with, Jack.
Meredith's salary is one of the $89,000 salaries, one of the individual days. And she's been here 9 years.
Ralph, what do you believe is the appropriate salary to tell the prosecutors that you are indicated or some highly educated, or stated before, the highest budget that we have?
Or to stay competitive with the neighbor, it's about another 17.5 than nearly everybody.
So what,
I know that's not gonna happen. I know that's not gonna happen. And what I wanna tell you is, I wanna ask you for 125,000. And 25 of that will be the, benefits. How many people in the cleaning crew that got reinstated?
are we comparing to
I don't want to do that.
Are we comparing to
How many? What's the number?
Talking about the custodial,
We're comparing to custodial staff, I'm just making sure I'm following you.
we don't even want to do
Okay.
No, I'm not, I'm just
just
wanting
trying
the
to
I'm just wanting money for the ADAs, that's
We
what
cannot-
happens.
I'm waiting for my screen to come back, so I can tell it's gone blank.
So let me ask you a question. The appropriate salary that you believe, without trying to compete with any other neighbors or and anything like that.
I can tell you, in Graham County State, 5%. I'll just say like, I had I hired 2 people with that money out of the asset fortune fund. I had a third on the hook, and she found out that the 90,000 salary is not in the game, and she paid the prosecutor both offices before. She said, I'm out. I'm not gonna come back for $79,000. So what I can tell you is, the real number is something where I'm not gonna get my employees taken because they get paid more money. That's the real number. Where that is across the state, I don't know. I know what it is right next door.
Apples and oranges. That's what we have.
It is apples and oranges, because we do 2.5 cases to their 1. We're working our tails off, and they're getting paid tremendously more money than we are. But it's not, what I'm talking about, the issue's not, what I'm gonna say is, I'm in charge of public safety. And it's my belief that the citizens will be glad to pay for anything that will help protect them better. That is my thought. Because that would be my thought, if I'm not in that position.
And I would agree with that, and I would answer that to the citizens about the new fire station going up, about the fleet that's being maintained, about the increase in deputies, about the fleet maintenance on the vehicles. So what we're charged to do is be good stewards of those dollars, right? And so what we've been doing over several, I would even venture to say a couple years at this point, is adjusting salaries. So my question to you, Judge, is are we entertaining this again, where we need to look at numbers, or do we need to see where we sit individually as commissioners to keep this budget discussion?
You know what we just said, 5.5%, raise it. If we add your salaries in, it's gonna go up more, I will not go up more.
0.25%.
0.25%, and that's how much to the taxpayer.
You've done 475 in 2016.
What?
475%.
You know, I'm a little bit concerned about the office over there, and the fact that there were some people. You know, you went from 350 or something like that down to 100,000. And why do you think the 100,000 might keep you?
Quite frankly, I'm just scratching to get what I can get. That's what I'm trying to do.
No, like I said,
Because I've got good people over there that are staying because they know I'm fighting.
well, and that's
And
something.
I'm afraid what's gonna happen is just anything doesn't happen.
Well, I'd like to see if we can find a way to find that 100,000.
I would, which I made that public when we made the vote quite some time ago, right? So I mean, I'm not, just being transparent about the process. When we made this change, you used the forfeiture, I knew this was gonna come, so that's where I said.
So what do you want,
Actually-
make a motion to do that and vote on it, see what happens?
Actually, I was wanting, for this doing that, it needs to be 125 for the benefits,
Commissioner,
Yes, sir.
if that's possible.
and I appreciate it, we all sympathize. We all want the safety to all of us. That's our question. But you mentioned 100,000, 125,000. What do you think, Steve, where we gonna get that?
That's what I want to see if we can find out someplace in this budget for that money.
Any idea?
And if we need to raise the taxes
Is
another
that what you just did, Karen?
1/10 or something like that, what would be the difference?
Which one you're looking at, 5 points?
You'd have to go 577.
About the same money.
So you'd have to go from 5.47, which is where we ended our last discussion, to 5.77 for a department that currently gets $4 million.
you do that, you're setting a precedence for somebody else come here and say, well, he did it, I wanna do it.
Nobody in this county is losing employees like I am. Nobody. The maintenance, the road and bridge guys,
Did you hear everybody? They're all saying the very same thing, they all know.
the maintenance guy had a job open for 2 months and we could do it. I'm going 7, 8, 9 months before I get it. And then that runs other employees.
If you would like to, because we're just gonna continue this, so we just need to see what we sit as
Go
important.
home sometime.
I will move to approve the DA's budget by $125,000.
Okay, have a motion, do I have a second? Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
I will second, just in, respect to the commission.
But then y'all did much more to save the cleaning.
That's not even necessary, no.
Okay,
I have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye. So raise your hand.
You just did a second, so take it for a vote.
No, you Okay, all opposed?
So from a numbers perspective, Judge, we're looking at 5.47.
Thank you, Commissioner Keller.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Last 2 weeks, I have been accused of not coming to court because I was not wanting to participate in this budget process. I have been accused of other things, and I don't know what department's starting these rumors, but I kind of suspect where it's coming from. If anybody wants my support, I don't need that kind of crap of bringing my wife in on it. And so, that's where I'm at. I'm not real happy.
and as a side note, I would hope that none of us here, department heads, none of us come before this roster, we try to compare departments or individuals who are, whether they be at the top of the level or at the bottom. That's unacceptable. I appreciate that.
I'm not adding these two members did a heck of a job to redo his entire budget so he can keep everybody employed, so. Hats off to him, he had to leave to go meet his kindergarten teacher.
No, he's still a kid.
The only thing I would add, Commissioner Church, is thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being vulnerable in sharing that. We all individually take attacks as individuals and on our families, just to be very transparent. So we all feel this on very personal levels.
All right, let's go back to tax rate. We're still standing at the 5.54, or is that 4.7? 4.7. Okay, yeah. Can we, is there any other discussion? Can we vote on this today? We can absolutely vote on this today, correct? Yeah.
What will take place which is the next board.
You can go to 5.
Okay.
I so move that we vote
We do
to
that,
file.
sir. I'm just, Carrie and Tyler still, let us know what our next step is, I guess, is what my question is.
Well, I think you can head into the next meeting with the intention of going this direction, but you can't actually vote on the budget.
Okay, okay. So that's on the 26th. Okay.
During the next budget.
Okay. Okay, so,
I'm sorry.
I move to file the budget report. Proposal.
I think the only thing that we officially have to follow is the judge's proposal, and we've already done that. What we have here is the for this proposal, so I don't believe it has to be filed. We do have to, publish in the newspaper the changes to elected official salaries.
Okay, okay.
I think that's.
Do you need him to withdraw his motion, June, for the record? I
so
know you
withdraw.
want it. I know you want
Make
it.
a motion.
Okay, so for today, we know what we have to do, and we can stop right here, okay? Is there anything else on the? Number 22 on the agenda is, executive session, under that agenda items for next time.
We'll probably have an IT update and kind of, it's probably a good standing item, just have on there. If you need our meeting scheduled, please let us know.
Absolutely.
Okay, anything else? If not, we are adjourned.
Thank you.